So welcome to part 8 in my video series of constructing a Lineside Hut Bowsider coach. At the end of the last episode I'd completed the first of the first class interior side panels. Now in the meantime I've made all 4 and they look very good, I think. What we'll do at a later stage in this video, we'll start fitting them to the coach interior. So for the third class panels, no matter which one it is really, the process of building it up is very simple, because we've just got the basic interior panel and then we're going to put the glazing piece on the back. But the first thing we need to do is just check the size, that it doesn't protrude over the end of the panel. And this one is just about okay. I think I might just take a little bit off, a couple of millimeters, so I'll do that using the knife and a straight edge. What we're looking for is to add a very small amount of glue at 8 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and nowhere else. Again, only a small amount. 3, 4, 7. Get the acetate. We need to try and get this to drop in just the right place, something like that. Will do just fine. Put it on the glass plate. Put the other glass plate on top. Like that. Check. Hasn't moved. And then we'll put the gull wing on top for a bit of weight. I will wait for that to dry. Okay, the glue has had time to harden, so let's take a look. Take the Mercedes off. Get rid of the glass panels, plates. So there we are then. One finished third class panel. There we are. Nicely done. So we're now going to attach the first of the first class interior panels to the interior of one of the compartments. Now this is panel that I numbered number 1, so that is going to go into against this wall. There's obviously with the outside of the coach actually curves inwards. The same applies to the interior part of the coach, and the panel also will have to bend accordingly at the lower half. Now if you've bought the Lineside Hut jig set that accompanies these coaches, besides the jig for the external part of the coach to form the bow side, you also get 3 jigs of different widths that we can use to ensure that the interior panels form a similar shape on the inside. So what are we going to do? We're going to be using epoxy to attach the panel in there like that. This jig will then be clamped against it, and then what I'm going to do, if I just bring the coach a little bit closer, I've got a piece of wood wrapped in cloth to try and protect the paint as much as possible, and then a G clamp is going around. So that's all that's to it. So without any further ado, let's get some epoxy made up and get on with it. Okay, here we go. Start with the top, down the side a bit as well. Now this other side's a bit tricky, just put a little bit on. But down here on the upholstery, as somebody on the telly used today, we'll splash it all over. Okay, that should be about it. Okay, let's get rid of that. All has to be done quite quick, I think, so we'll put him in. Get him at the right height, which is that. Get this in. I'm going to turn it round now so I can see and perhaps you can see how that works. I'm just going to check. Yeah, that looks fine. The height is the same. Put this guy on. And then put this guy on too. Doesn't need to be, and it's going to weigh down to one side. Check the height, looks fine. At the bottom, looks fine, and we'll leave that to set. Okay, let's remove the clamp and see what we've got. Okay, as you now perhaps can see, that interior panel has been fitted quite well. There it is. Let's have a look on this side. Yep, that's fine. Right, looks like, unfortunately, I haven't quite fitted it right into the corner, which is a pity. But we'll have to let that go and we'll see if we can improve that on the next ones. Anyway, I'll get on with the rest and then come back to you. Okay, then let's take the clamp off the last panel from the first class. And let's take a look what we've got. So there's both of them. There's that side. And there's the other side. Okay, so we'll crack on with the third class compartments, the internal side panels, and we'll get back to you once they're done. Okay, so let's just remove the clamp on the first of the third class compartments that I'm doing. Okay, and I want you to notice the white here behind this cutout. So beforehand, what I actually did, if you see here, I painted just a stripe of white onto the inside of the body shell so that it'll all be white once the panel's on. So let's release the clamp on the last side panel. So there we are. That's all of them done on that side. Turn it round. And the same again on this side. So to complete the internal panelling, we now have to make up and mount the third class end panels. In front of you we've got all the bits and pieces required for the two end compartments at each end. So we've got a complete end panel and we've got two half sections. Maybe you can see there's two thinner etchings there, and what happens there is two strips of wood go on there. The lower one gets glued on straight away and that will be painted in the same colour white, as the rest of the end panel, but the upper one painted in a sort of stained wood and added later after painting. And what I'll do, I'll just throw up a picture of the completed third class section so you can see exactly what I mean. So it took a bit of sanding, but all the panels are now in place, and it's a question now of just gluing in the lower strip onto its appropriate place and then painting them up. So I'll do all that off camera, obviously do the same for the other end, and come back to you when I'm finally gluing in the panels. So welcome back. As you can see, all the bits and pieces been done. In front of you we've just got the bits and pieces for one set of third class compartments. The wood stained strips of wood, they've been applied in exactly the same way as you saw earlier with the one that got painted white. Also with that, with the staining of the wood, I actually took the opportunity to wood stain the trim piece that actually goes in this space between the two compartments. So what we'll do now is we'll fit these panels to the one end of the third class compartment. Okay, so I'm using wood glue this time. So this panel was trimmed to be the extreme end panel, like so. I'm actually going to be using, try and use a similar technique to what I used before. Make sure that's all right, that's lined up, that's lined up, and we'll tighten it up a bit so it's like that. Okay, now we're going to go to the center panels. I think this is enough. For this one, let's try and get it in there. Okay, and using these clamps, and then two, get as low as we can. Yeah, so that's that one done. Okay, let's see if we can get this in. Okay, what I want to try and do is put this one on here with there, get this one on here as low as possible. That's all right, it's in. I'm adding the glue to this part here where this trim piece actually mounts onto. Oops. So there it is. So we'll just let that dry, and then off camera I'll do the other two first class compartments, and then I'll show you the result in the next video in this series.